So it was in sync.
I said the same thing. I went by
Abby and I were at Showgirls last night.
That's why it's in there.
Oh.
All right, we have Nio Beche and Trey Sigler with us. Questions for the Huskers?
Minai, what was your first taste of Big Ten volleyball? Like, what was your impression after that?
I was amazed by the amount of Nebraska support in. Right now, I'm thinking specifically of Rutgers gym, but also Penn State. It was so loud. There's so much support from everybody, and honestly, it was amazing how much everyone cares about the sport and about our team.
What about the action? I know Penn State and Rutgers, there were sweeps for you, but people talk about the grind of it. You're 2 weeks into Big Ten. What are your thoughts on that so far?
Well, the Big Ten is an extremely competitive conference, and every day in practice, we scout hard, we practice harder. There's really no break, really, for any team. I feel like we have to bring our A game to every single opponent.
In the same vein, this is a question for both of you. Now that you're basically halfway through your first year here in Nebraska, what's the biggest difference you see between high-level volleyball in club and high school now playing college volleyball?
I would say, like, especially being taller athletes, like, just naturally just athletic, you get to the Big Ten and everyone's just like you, everyone's just as tall as you, everyone's just athletic, explosive, can hit just as hard. And so learning how to kind of mature in your game, I feel like is super important. I feel like you kind of get here and it's not a rude awakening, but it's a little humbling at first, but it's something that you need to kind of get used to. It's a different game, especially at the level that we play at in the Big Ten and just at Nebraska. I think having to mature and your points look a little differently than they do in high school and club, and all important, but I just feel like you just have to learn how to up your game in that way.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you have to be very disciplined. You can't just power through anything because everyone is very talented. Everything has to be very strategic, calculated, and yeah, you have to be focused. Sorry.
Terea, what was your takeaway from Friday night just in terms of the lead up to that match and what you saw from your team, both in terms of performance and kind of your sense of what that one meant?
Yeah, Penn State was a game that I feel like everyone marks in their calendars. Such like a big game. It's a huge rivalry, and I just, I was really excited to be a part of it. And obviously we scouted hard, we practiced harder, as Mania said, and we went in there as a mindset of like, for some people, this is like a revenge tour, and for others, this is their first time playing at Penn State or playing in this kind of match. And so I think I was super excited. I was kind of embracing my feelings of, being a little nervous. So just, you hear stories about being in this kind of environment. People are heckling you, people are shouting things at you, and learning how to just breathe and play volleyball that you do every day, just in a different environment. And I feel like I give all props to our coaching staff. They did such an incredible job with scouting and just getting us prepared. And I feel like right off the jump, we were ready. And I feel like I also give props to Penn State that they're kind of going through a rebuild year. Losing Izzy is super hard, but I feel like that team had a lot of fire, and that's something that I feel like kind of goes under the rug of obviously scores were not in their favor, but I feel like that team, as time goes on, they will find a click and they will find chemistry, and that's something that we need to be prepared for. But I think that everything just went our way, and we worked really hard to earn that win. And so it was just really fun to be in that environment and to play in the famous rec hall, and just to experience that for the first time.
You mentioned that it's a game that everyone has circled on their calendar, the revenge aspect of it. What has the mindset been since then to just kind of regroup, refocus?
Well, something that I feel like is something to say is that everyone circles Nebraska on their calendar when they play us, and every game that we play on the road will be circled in everyone else's calendars. And I feel like learning that something that Jalen has told me recently is that we're here to make great plays, but the great players are the ones that are consistent, the ones that are able to do this for a long period of time. I mean, we're playing, this is so much longer than any of our high school or club seasons, like, and it's grueling, and it's an everyday grind. We're practicing every day opposed to 2 to 3 times a week, and we have school and a social life and just trying to balance just being an 18 and 19-year-old girls. And so I feel like just learning to every day is a new day to get better and finding ways that we can improve our game in any way that we can. Obviously, I think our play this weekend has been great, and I think it was so fun, but we can always get better from that.
Danny's giving you some opportunities to play all 6 rotations in some of these matches. What are you learning from those experiences, and how have those helped you to develop as a player?
I think I'm just learning that go out with every intention to show who I am as a player and show what I've worked on. I feel like it might be small, but I feel like I'm a completely different player than I was when I first got here. And I think that goes for playing-wise, confidence-wise, mental-wise. I feel like I'm just learning that, my game's maturing, and I'm learning from the best. Taylor, Sky, and, Harper, having those people in front of me is just, like, the best way for me to learn and the best way in practice. I mean, we go in there and we rip each other's throats out in practice, and then we go get dinner afterwards, and it's, like, the best environment of being competitive but still having that strong bond with your teammates. So I just feel like learning to take every opportunity and just run with it.
Manaya, you had 8 blocks against Rutgers. What was working so well for you against them to allow you to go off like that?
I really just have to credit everything back to practice. I feel like nothing's harder than getting blocks in our own gym. So going out and facing other competitors, it's a little bit easier.
Who gives you the most fits in your own gym?
The most trouble.
Who's the most difficult for you to block?
I would probably say Harper. She likes to jam it directly in my face. So Harper.
In the same vein, what have you learned from the middle in front of you of how you'd be able to evolutionize your game here at Nebraska?
Really everything. Blocking, attacking multiple things as well. I feel like Becca and Andy both give such different, they're both good at such different things. I can really learn everything and anything from them.
I guess how you just balance, playing in more of a limited capacity this year, but just being ready for the moment when your number's called, I guess.
How do I balance that?
Yeah, just like, not playing one game, but then asking to have a bigger load the next game, kind of.
I feel like just always being ready, continuing to learn the scout, even if you might not play. It's really important to at least be prepared, and really the goal is for the team to win. It's not about me, and I have to constantly remind myself that. It's not about me, it's about this team. I'll do whatever it takes to continue to get another win.
You talked about the build-up to Penn State, how a little more hype to that too, but you go back and start the match from the service line. What is that like, and how do you get your mindset to handle that?
I think it's a great question, just because of, like, as I said before, first time playing in the big Penn State match at Rec Hall, like, that's a super intimidating moment, and I feel like all I could really do is lean on my teammates and lean on my training of, like, going back there. I think self-talk is something that's super important, especially in those moments, because you are your biggest critic. And I feel like, especially for myself, I'm super hard on myself, but learning that, like, trust my training. We've worked on this. Like, I am more than capable to do this. We are more than capable to do this. And I think as much as Manaya says, like, we can make it about ourselves of, like, I make an error, I make a mistake. I could have served it in the net that first point. Like, oh, this is all on me. It's like, how do you make yourself external to your team? And, like, really leaning on your teammates of, like, my team needs me to be internal and to really work on just being a team player. And then so I think it was a super exciting moment, but I had to really calm myself down because, it's a really intimidating moment, but it was good.
You had a back row kill very early on. How does that affect your mindset to get in the flow of the game?
Yeah, I think a back row is like a super, a play that's starting to come up more in college. I feel like, especially when you have three All-Americans that are hitting front row, sometimes you kind of get lost and, you get one-on-ones or you get one-on-nones. And so I think having that confidence that Bergen trusts me to go up and take a swing, and even if it isn't, how can I even if it's not a kill, how can I get them out of system? How can I cause trouble? And so I think early in the match, I think that connection really helped us, and just not even just in that game, but just in future games. I mean, in Rutgers we run it too, and like something that we've really been working on for the past couple weeks, past month. And so I think it just built that confidence of our connection of me and Bergen.
What do you see?
You talked about the fellow hitters helping you. How has Bergen helped you?
I think, me and Bergen were beach partners, and so that's my girl. I really do love Bergen. I think that she's such a calm presence, but she's so fierce and she's so strong. I think one thing about Bergen is that she's not afraid to have those hard conversations with us of like, hey, like our standard needs to be higher. Or in practices where it's a Monday and we're just like, bleh, it's like she's really quick to be like, hey, like we got to come in here with the intention of getting better. And I think with her, especially in moments where we're in rec hall, I can barely hear myself think and things are kind of going everywhere, it's like coming to her and having that calm presence. And I feel like that's super important because we have such fiery personalities on the team, which is great, but having some sort of calm is also good, especially in high emotional situations, if that makes sense.
What do you see from Skylar against Rutgers?
Oh, I love Sky. I think she's one of the hardest workers ever. I think that she's such a team player. I feel like she's someone that always checks in with everyone, and she's there to make the team better. And she, me and her come on our off days to get extra reps, and I feel like with Sky, like me and her are really close just because we're able to grow together and look up to Taylor and look up to Harper and just expand our range because, yes, it is about this year, but, we're underclassmen. We're the future of Nebraska, as everyone wants to quote it, but that we are, getting better every day with each other, and she's just such a light. And something I really admire about her is her faith, that she's going back and she's just trusting the Lord's plan for her, and that feeds off into our team. So she's a super impact player.
Time for one or two more.
That's a question.
For either one of you, a little bit of a different schedule this weekend, just with you guys being home on Friday and then at Purdue on Sunday. What has Danny told you about what the approach is going to be, how that looks this week?
I think Danny's just told us that we're going to come in the gym, we're going to scout, we're going to work hard, and we're just going to take it as it is. I feel like it's really cool that we get to play at home this weekend and then get to go travel to, again, another great atmosphere to play at. I mean, Purdue is a lot like Penn State. It's a volleyball school. It's a school that has just a great environment. So I think we're just learning to work hard. What can we get better from last weekend, and what can we bring into this weekend to really up our game even more?
Mm-hmm.
See, there were some videos for that Penn State match. You arrived, and there's like people standing on the steps just to watch you get off the bus.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the bus. There's people there, just to take a photo. Like, what's it like how do you feel when you travel with this team before and after matches?
Yeah, honestly, like, maybe when I can say this too, you really don't believe it when they say that Husker Nation's everywhere. Obviously, you're like, oh, the parents are going to be there and, a few relatives. But, like, truly, Husker Nation is everywhere. And so learning to just be grateful for it in all times. I feel like sometimes when you're in a big environment with a lot of people, it's really easy to kind of feel small. And it's like, this is a celebration and something that we get to show off our skills and show to all the teams that we work hard for this. We work hard for our rankings. We work hard for everything that we earn. And so I think it's just every time I see it, it kind of gets me emotional because it's just like, this is an answered prayer to be where I am right now and to be a part of this team and get to play in front of all these people. So I feel like I take those moments in just a heart of gratitude.
Manaya, what's your connection with Bergen? Looking at your stats, you're hitting about 500 for every single match where you get a good run of playing time. What's your connection with Bergen been like?
It's honestly just so easy to play off of Bergen and Campbell too. Their level is just amazing. They're tall. They're able to dish it out fast, efficient. They're incredibly intelligent as well, so they can find you one-on-one or one-on-none opportunities. So really just kudos to her.
Are you adapting to them, or did you feel like they adapt to you? Are you getting different sets from them, the two different setters?
I feel like it's something in the middle. Mostly, I think they're adapting to me because they're good setters, and I feel like that's just what they do. And all of us have very different hitting styles, so it's very impressive how they can change up their styles.
This is for both of you. When I post highlights of the games, you two get the most social interactions. Like, we want more of them, more of them. People like, we see Harper and then, but we want them. So I want to post something for social media. What's your message to Husker Nation?
I think for me at least, and maybe we can speak for both of us, that we are working our hardest to make this team successful, and however that is. I think something to remember that we're both 19, 18 years old, and we're here to have fun, make memories, and hopefully win a national championship. And so I think just know that we're going to bring our best every game and whatever that looks like, and here to have fun and just get better.
Mm-hmm. That and gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude, and we're going to be here for a couple years, so.
Absolutely. You'll see a lot more of us.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Questions for Coach?
After reviewing the tape, what are your initial thoughts of how the weekend went?
Really good. I felt like we played great on both sides of the ball, played great defense. Our offense was clicking. Against Rutgers, we played a couple new, different players. They played great, so a lot to be very positive about.
What's the challenge of coming off of a high emotion game like Penn State and turn right around the Rutgers in another sold out environment?
Well, I do think the fact it's sold out and where we go, it's a big deal, and that's motivation in itself. So being able to go to Rutgers, the fans were awesome. It was just a really fun game. That gym's pretty cool, the way it's set up. And so I don't think our team felt any emotional letdown. I think the challenge was more getting into Rutgers late, having game the next day. So it was quick turnaround from a physical standpoint.
How was that gym set up? I've never been to Rutgers.
It was their basketball gym, so it's just like the bleachers go straight up, I feel like, and the acoustics are loud. It's loud, and it's just a really good volleyball gym. Holds 8,000, and the way it's set up, I think the way the bleachers are. I don't know what an architect would call it, but.
In that first set, you guys went down 0-2 against Penn State and basically run 25-4 run. What were you seeing that made your team so effective?
Just everything. I mean, I thought we didn't have that many opportunities to pass the ball, so we were playing great defense, and our transition offense was great, and just felt kind of like we were smothering Penn State a little bit from the service line and defensively, which is what you want your team to do.
Have you ever been a part of a run like that before?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe, probably, but nothing. Not against a top 25 team.
When you go into the weekend like that, do you have plans to make lineup adjustments, or is that kind of a reaction after Penn State, evaluate where things are and make adjustments from there?
Yeah, it was definitely after Penn State an evaluation, and I think Manaya would probably start at 99% of the programs out there. She's really good, so getting her more playing time is, I think, important for our team's growth. And then Skylar's been doing great in practice, and so she really deserved a whole game where she could work through some things if she needed to, and she didn't even need to work through anything. She played great. So just, again, continuing to build our depth and make sure players are comfortable and ready if they're called on, no matter what moment it is, whether it's just a Big Ten game, whether it's in the tournament. We don't know when we're going to need everybody.
Coach, what have you seen out of Washington? 500 team, but I believe they've won 2 in a row coming in, so have a little momentum.
Well, we usually prep the second opponent first, and then we go to the first opponent. So we've been, really looking at Purdue these last 2 days. So I don't know a ton about Washington except for some transfers and some players that I recruited in high school that ended up going to Washington. So can't really speak a lot about them. I know more about Purdue at this point.
Tell us what you see
This
from
Purdue's
Purdue.
playing great. The Kenna Woolard, their outside, was just the National Player of the Week, which is a really prestigious award. And they have the lefty from Nebraska, who's having a nice year. They're just really good. I think a lot of people thought they'd be down with the loss of Eva and Chloe, and then they graduated some of their main players, but they look really good, and they've got great chemistry, at least on film. So that will be a huge challenge for us, especially going there and playing in their gym.
How have you seen this team embrace the mindset of just taking each game, being ready for how other teams are prepping for you guys?
Our team is pretty focused on our side of the court, and I think that's very, very hard to do, especially throughout a season. Is we're not riding the emotional highs and lows of our opponents, or like riding what they're doing or getting frustrated about what the opponent's doing. We're really being accountable with ourselves, and I think that's been the thing that's made it easiest to stay consistent with our play.
How have you seen that surface in some of your younger players like Terea?
Yeah, she's just, again, I think with a deep team too, that helps because she's, really wants to keep her spot, and she knows that those spots, the starting spots, are pretty fragile. But she's just giving to the team and doing what she can to help us win. And what's really huge is when our upperclassmen show so much confidence in her. For example, we were down 2-0 and against Penn State, and she gets the first ball or the first good pass or dig. I don't remember if it was pass or dig, but we set her out of the back row and she crushes it. I felt like that set the tone for the whole game. That we're going to use everybody, and we're not scared, and we're confident in our whole team.
This is the first weekend where you have a home and away. Are you changing up anything with the team and the mindset, preparing for them?
Not really. I mean, I've never experienced this type of a turnaround, so I think it'll be new. But we'll do our normal routine here and then practice at Purdue on Saturday because we play early on Sunday. So that's maybe a little bit different. I'd rather practice here and then go somewhere, but we need a chance to get in their gym.
So you're kind of talked about one of the transitions from high school to college level is just getting points in different ways. How have you maybe seen her kind of tool her game to the college level now that she's, 14, 15 games in?
Yeah, when you're at the high school and club level, a lot of times your physicality can dominate an opponent, and in college that's not going to work. So you have to be a lot smarter, and you have to be able to mix up your shots, and you have to learn that you can't just overpower your opponents no matter who it is. So I think she's had to realize that, and now luckily she has a lot of power. So when she has the opportunity, she'll go for it. But she's become a lot smarter and realizing when she can and can't just rely on that.
Her, because she typically starts the match from a service line. To have trust in a freshman to put her in that situation at Penn State, how did you develop that trust to put her back there?
The big thing about Terea is just her demeanor, and I think she's already got a lot of leadership qualities. So when you look at her, you tell her, hey, you got first serve. She's like, okay. She doesn't give you any type of look or vibe that she's not confident. And it was like that since the first game of the year. It's like trust her to go back there and stick a good serve. So I think a lot of it's just her demeanor just makes her feel like she's not a freshman.
Are you surprised or not surprised that you haven't lost a match yet?
I'm not surprised. We have a long ways to go, so it still feels a little bit early. And I do think with switching lineups some, and we've talked a ton about our depth, and we'll continue to talk about it. I think that's helped fuel a lot of it and helped us stay consistent, is that we want to play great against our opponents, but I think we want to, more importantly, play great for each other.
That kind of rotation isn't something a lot of teams do. Why is it so important for you, and why do you think this team is set up to thrive playing that way?
With making subs. Because I think they see each other do it in practice every day. And so it's not shocking when it's like, okay, we're going to start Skylar. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't think there's anybody on our team that's thinking like, why? Or that's weird. I think they expect it and they understand why, because not only are we telling them why, but they can see it every single day.
Yeah, for you, just how was your first true road trip and seeing the amount of Husker Nation that follows this team on a national level?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So I was not expecting that. Both places just felt like the mini home games. Penn State obviously has a lot of fans, but we had tons of fans there, and they're like lining our bus when we're leaving, which is really awesome and just makes you feel kind of like a rock star. And at Rutgers almost felt more fun than being home because it's fans that never get to see us. So they're so excited and appreciative to be there. And it was just a really good vibe and a good feeling. And again, it surprised me how big this volleyball team's reach is, this program. It's not in Nebraska anymore. It's national and a little bit worldwide.
You thought you'd be good, you voted you number one. Like, what are you proud that you've been able to take from the preseason and it's still showing up in matches?
Yeah, I feel like offensively, sometimes you come out hot and on fire, and then as the season goes on, people get worn down or, there's some misconnections. So then the trust starts to break. But this team's continuing to get better and better offensively. And, the way we set our middles, and we've continued to just have a really balanced offense. I think that's a great sign of a good team. And we're not relying on just a couple people. It's literally every game has similar attempts, which is huge midway through the year.
When you see what's happening, Charlie got hurt at Wisconsin, but Minnesota's had a cavalcade of injuries. Do you feel good about your depth and what you're able to build?
Yeah, what's crazy is just talking to the team about last week in practice, after practice, and I don't know if it was a good or bad practice per se, but I said, we have nothing to be sad about or pouty about, because the first thing I said is everybody's healthy. And it's crazy because then there you see all these injuries around the country, and knock on wood, we should be very thankful that we can all play. And so yeah, I'm very, very thankful for that. I don't remember what the question was, but
do you feel good about your depth you're able to build?
Yes, and then but then again, you see those happen and you think, wow, thankfully we do have depth, and we've had players that have played in some big moments. So that, I think, helps ease your mind as a coach. But, you never want to see injuries happen to your own team or any other great players around the country. It's just a bummer for the sport.
Friday is a red-white strikeout. What are you looking forward to about that and what the fans will bring?
Well, I hope they all know what section they're in so we can actually see the stripe out. I've only seen that work when they put free T-shirts on the chairs, so we'll see. I haven't seen one yet here. I don't think there's free T-shirts on every chair.
Are you breaking a new court this weekend too?
I don't even know. I knew we were getting new Terraflex, but it's not down now for practice, so I don't know if we're having it for the game or not.
Is that something that's been in the works for a while? Or?
Yeah, I was just told that we're getting new Terraflex. I got to help with the design a little bit, but the new Terraflex courts were already in the works. So.
What was your design input?
Well, I like the state, so I like the outline of the state, and then the red on the red is supposed to look like cornrows. So just trying to add a little bit of something without getting too wild.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks.